So, hi Teal, are you real? How do you feel? Excuse my English, I'm nervous, Leo.
I'm
I'm
super
kind
good.
of, I'm kind of red. So to be nervous is connected with my first question because first time when I heard about the chance to have a Skype with you, I felt some kind of fear. I was afraid of it because of my English.
Okay.
It was some fear from failure or fear from unknown. So I got a couple of questions to you. Please, can you explain this topic about kinds of fear? What is the cause of this, and how can I overcome it?
Fear is always the result of thinking a thought which pulls you in the opposite direction of what is wanted. So you could think of fear as the absence of empowerment or the absence of love. And so it's very easy to deal with fear by thinking a thought which doesn't resonate at the frequency of fear.
Mm-hmm.
So if I think a thought like I'm going to fail, and then of course that thought attracts other thoughts like images, maybe it's memories of things that I've failed at before, then what you'll notice is your emotions are reflecting to you the fact that you are thinking a thought which is the very opposite of what is wanted. Does that make sense? Because what you want is for it to go well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you understand that fear is really not out to get you, it just indicates that your focus is not placed upon what is wanted, then you can instead choose to place your focus upon what is wanted. Or else you can use it to explore your fear if you want to learn more about yourself. Why am I so afraid? That's what questioning is for. Fear can't stand in the face of questioning. It's not possible for it to, because the only reason fear exists is because it's an unquestioned thought. So by questioning your fearful thoughts, you're able to alter your perspective about them to a degree where the fear starts to dissipate.
Okay.
So like if you had a major fear, it'd be like, why am I so afraid of failing? What would that mean to me? Why would it feel so bad if I was failing?
So the cause of the fear, the main cause of the fear is not connected with the allowing flow or to be
Yes.
disconnected.
Yes, it
Disconnect
is.
from the present moment.
Yes, because in that moment you're thinking a thought which is not now. It's a projection into the future of something that is not wanted, essentially. And so it's interesting because people, when it comes to fear, like people think that the opposite of the vibration of love is the vibration of hate, but it's not true. The opposite
Yes,
of the vibration of love is fear.
I understand. I agree. So next topic is attached with some strange experience in my life.
Okay.
Last year, there was some kind of beef in our hip hop terminology. It means conflict in Czechoslovakia hip hop community. And the starting point was that my person was target of word attack from a very successful artist in our country. It was the words like beep, Buddhist, why do you ask for money for your performance? Get out of here to a valley and hug your trees, and so on. So the main reason was my conscious kind of music, lyrics, and also videos. Please, so what's your opinion? Why is this still happening in a daily life and also in some kinds of music? And is it just the marketing, some ego stuff, competition, or what? How can I answer or react on this immediately, or to stay calm, or just ignore it?
You know, it's interesting that this is coming in the shadow of that last question because the answer is you will never see anger unless it's covering a fear. Anger is always the place that people go to when they're trying to move out of a feeling of powerlessness into a feeling of empowerment. So, what we have to ask ourselves, first and foremost, important for us to gain objective awareness or to attain a state of consciousness about the situation before we take action. So, what we want to do is think about what is this other person afraid of? Can you think about it and maybe answer?
The person afraid of, I think it was because I have answered with the one peaceful block, but it wasn't end yet. He still continued with his dirty game and gossiping.
So that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is what is he afraid of about you?
Maybe competition or uh,
That's one thing for sure. What does he have against tree huggers?
because in the in some my video clips, I have hugging trees because I'm a lover of nature, and I want to show the young people these values of nature. So maybe in 2 or 3 video clips, I hug the trees.
So how does that cause him pain? If you're hugging trees and your message is that everybody needs to love the wilderness, how does that hurt him? I can give you an example, but it's going to be an example that comes from an American type of viewpoint. So in America, people, like, there's a lot of people who hate what they call tree huggers, which is environmental people, right? They hate them because they feel like if the environmental people get their way with the government, then the government's going to make everyone else drive certain cars, not be able to go play in the wilderness with their ATVs, and that's their definition of fun. So they feel like the tree huggers are going to take their enjoyment away. That would be an example of what somebody's afraid of, which is why they're going after you.
Okay. So I finish the story. He still continued with his dirty game and gossiping me. And the case was closed after I recorded a full song as an answer and explanation. And this song was called The Wizard, and was based on the irony, sarcasm, and funny video with an easy spiritual message. So do you recognize this type of situations? If this kind of criticism ever happened to you?
All the time. In fact, I have like a group of people that are dedicated to hating everything I do. I mean, it's like if I put out one blog, one message, anything, they are sitting there with a fine-tooth comb, picking through it to make sure that they can criticize basically everything that I do. And it's not just attacks on the material, it's attacks on me as a person. I mean, they say I'm lying about everything that I said happened to me as a child, and that I'm just using it to make money. I mean, it's a huge thing. So I run into criticism all the time. But I also understand that it's a reflection of my own sense of insecurities. It's interesting, when I look through everything they say about me, it's already a worry that I have had about myself. It's already a doubt that has been there. It's already been a previous experience I've had with people. So it's just a reflection, basically, of an unhealed part within me. So if I can heal that, then I'm not a match to it. They literally, it's like, you got to understand about reality. Most of us think that these people exist separate from us. But if we weren't a match to it, we could not experience their anger. We couldn't experience the criticism.
So what's the recipe to make a peace with those people?
You can't. You got to make peace with yourself. That's the thing. Like, they exist, and you can't make peace with them, so that you are forced to make peace with yourself. Otherwise, it would be easy to go try to solve all these problems externally and never heal the unhealed aspects within me. So, for example, I could continue having a really low self-esteem if I could convince them to still like me. I wouldn't be working on my own self-esteem to the point where it didn't matter whether somebody didn't like me or not.
So I have to start with a man in a mirror.
Yes,
yeah?
Always.
I understand. And how do you deal with people that gossiping you that you earn money for your spiritual teachings? Or is this only Central European mentality?
I don't understand the question very well.
How do you deal with the people that gossiping you that you earn money for spiritual teachings? I don't know what's the real jobs. I precise that you earn money from spiritual teachings, but especially in the Central Europe, I meet a lot of people that gossip me for earning money, like a conscious hip-hop, like a spiritual leader for young people.
Why, like you shouldn't be making money at something that's spiritual? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking for that. Is it only Central European mentality?
No, it's a mentality here too. But it's because of religions. See, the mainstream religions basically made greed and all these other things not okay, and so we thought to be spiritual was to not have money, basically. We look at what they call an aesthetic, which is basically somebody who gets rid of the temporal desires, things like money and wealth and things like that, and goes out into the world living at the mercy of everything, right?
Yeah.
But that's because most people don't understand that everything that is physical is an extension of source energy. So money is a creation of Source. It is literally a spiritual object. So, money really begins in the mind. It's not some external thing that has got a hold of us. And this is the major issue, is that most people feel so powerless to money, they don't understand that it's a tool. It's nothing more than a hammer. I could use a hammer to put a house together. I could use money to buy a house. It's just a tool. So we're like making an enemy of the tool, which is an issue with the human race in general. And it doesn't matter where you are on the planet. We like to do that. We like to say, well, it's not about the person who's shooting the gun. It's about the gun. So let's outlaw guns. Guess what? You still have a violent person.
Yeah, I understand. But I'm still thinking about how can I explain this topic to my fans. So I maybe in the future I try to record some song
like
with
this
topic spiritual versus money.
Like this. Would you rather somebody who hurts people make money or somebody who's helping people make money? It's that simple. Like, people don't sit there and think about this. If I'm going to think about my money and where I want it to go, I would rather my money be going to somebody who, say, had a good message to share, or who made me feel empowered, or who had some sort of a spiritual lesson for youth, than I would want my money to go towards somebody who is making money off of me every month, paying insurance. Or, I don't know how it works in your country. Can you think of an example of somebody who, like, is not in the, they call it not right livelihood. It's somebody who basically makes money doing something that's not good for people, but they make a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
What would be a good example?
Example in my country. Can you tell you first the example?
Well,
in your country?
Yeah, like in our country, what I consider the most awful livelihood ever is people who own insurance companies. The people who own insurance companies are multi-billion-dollar people, and they're basically, not only is the business corrupt, but they're making crap tons of money on people who are ill. They're gambling, essentially, with human lives. Or, like, let's say somebody who gets their money drilling the earth for gasoline, right?
Yeah, that's right. Or loans, bank loans.
Yes.
Private loans.
Yeah, so they make tons of money. How is that okay? You know?
Yeah.
Why? Well, I would rather somebody who's helping people, like a doctor or a spiritual teacher or a hip-hop artist that's talking about spiritual subjects, be making the money. Why not? It does good stuff.
Mm-hmm. But these people usually think that spiritual teacher means she or he has no money, and he get money only from donations or what. So this is the fault of these people.
But here's the thing. If we're gonna bring people into the new consciousness, then they need to understand that abundance is not the byproduct of other people. Abundance is the byproduct of opening yourself to your own creative flow. So if you are in a state where you are thinking thoughts, speaking words, and doing things that are in alignment with who you really are, then you're allowing that source flow through you. And abundance is the natural byproduct of that. And so it's a very old, outdated concept that the person who is spiritual is at the mercy of the world and what the world chooses to give them. Much more than the new wave of spirituality is to recognize that you are your own source of abundance. And that the person who's teaching a spiritual teaching should be somebody who's able to embody that abundance. I mean, we like to think in terms of finite resources. Have you noticed that?
Finite resources?
Finite resources means like you've got this much money, and if somebody takes more than their fair share, we've got no money for anyone else, right? That's not the way that money works, and it's not the way that abundance works. And so we have to understand that by somebody making money, it doesn't take money away from the rest of the people. In fact, what we need to be teaching people is that everyone on Earth is capable of developing their own abundance. If everyone wanted to be millionaires, they could be. Nobody has to be poor.
But they still think that to be a millionaire is not spiritual.
Why? You'd have to question them on that.
It's the mentality of these people, and I think it comes from a past, from Middle Ages or what, I don't know. Sounds like that.
The only thing you can do with people that are that locked down on ideas is to have them, if they're open to it, that's the problem, they have to be receptive, have them question their own thinking. because it's causing them pain too. When they're saying it's not spiritual to not make money, but at the same time they've got bills to pay which they can't pay, they are suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get a person to realize that they're suffering as a result of their belief enough that they have to question their own belief, then you can get people to start changing, start seeing how it doesn't really make sense.
Mm-hmm. So the best way to teach people is to asking the questions, maybe through my fan page or my websites, asking people why they think that spiritual is not too good be a millionaire or to earn money or something like that. Okay, thank you for clearing this question.
And
And
a good idea is to work on not really caring what other people think, because you're not going to be able to control everybody else. Have you noticed this yet? Like, this is the most frustrating part about being in the public eye, is basically that you can never structure your image to make everybody happy. It's like, these people say, I don't like your hair short, I like it long, so you basically grow your hair out. Then the other party says, I don't like it short, I liked it, that way. So it's like, one way or the other, you're stuck. You're never going to be able to make everyone find a consensus about you. And maybe that's part of your goal too. Because becoming the contrast for people, which you're gonna do, you can't help it. People will be watching you, and they're gonna be like, some people will feel the sense of jealousy because of the fact that you've got success, and so you didn't intentionally do it, but you're causing them pain. You're causing them contrast because they feel jealous, and sometimes that's the necessary thing for them to experience in order to find their own abundance. So it's not like that you came down here to make everybody on earth happy. You came down here to be the pure expression of yourself and let the world do what it wants with that.
Thank you. I translated after recording the video because I'm not advanced in English, sorry.
It's okay.
My next question.
Do I hear a kitty?
Yeah, I show you.
Oh God, I love cats.
Kitty cat.
Oh my gosh, I have a black and white cat too.
Yeah.
Hi.
She's called Lily.
Oh, I love that name.
Lily.
Hi, Lily. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I love cats.
Me too. Thank you. So the next question will be about cats. I see a lot of people try to have a cat in my environment, in my family. What's the reason to have a cat in the present time? Why is it still happening to have a cat?
I think it's because cats are the greatest allowers of all. You'll notice that they are very good at satisfying their own internal emotional guidance system. So if you bug a cat, they're not like a dog. They don't get out of alignment and sit there like, they just walk away. And they spend their time taking the path of least resistance. So it inspires people. Not only does it lower people's heart rates and lowers their stress level, it inspires people to come into a state of allowing. It also inspires people to be the good kind of selfish.
And do also cats protect from negative vibrations?
They're not really a match to negative vibrations, but...
Or transform to a positive?
Yeah, oh yeah. Most animals do.
So that's the reason why they sleep a lot of time.
That and their digestive system makes it so that they have to sleep a lot. You'll watch that most of the carnivores on Earth that have to digest really heavy proteins, they spend most of their time resting. Because it takes so much energy to digest those types of foods. But yeah, cats spend a lot of their time out of this dimension. It's really interesting for somebody who goes out of body, like when I take my consciousness and leave my body, there are cats all over the astral realm. They're just spending the majority of their time there.
So animal can enhance vibrations.
Oh yeah.
Of the people. And which animals especially? I think elephants, dolphins, cats.
Those are the ones that resonate with humans the most.
Okay.
So if you look at the human frequency, the human has a frequency, and the dolphin has a frequency, and it's similar enough that there is an exchange of reality. That's why you have that shared intimacy level with them. It's sort of a sense of camaraderie, because we understand each other. But every single being on Earth and on other planes has a vibration. Everything like not alive, what humans call not alive, everything has consciousness, whether it's alive or not. The wall has consciousness, but the things that we call alive, right? Everything has a frequency, but humans resonate more with some and not so much with others.
By the way, have you ever been with the contact with the dolphins?
Yes.
How was it for you?
Very commonplace. I mean, I absolutely love them, and who could hate a dolphin, right? They're absolutely magic, but their perspective is not separate enough from mine to where I would say that it was the most fascinating creature I've ever been around. For me, I feel like it's interesting because I learn the most from reptiles. Reptiles are not one of my favorites, but their perspective is so different than ours that I quite enjoy challenging myself to grasp their perspective. But I think that dolphins are some of the most rehabilitory animals. That's why they're used to rehabilitate people with autism and other issues. Because they have that camaraderie, they're able to bring people into a state of happiness and health.
Thank you. The next topic is about 2012. During last month, I perceived a sort of disappointment and disbelief between conscious and awakened people after a year 2012. And I think that people had too many expectations, but their expectations wasn't fulfilled, and a lot of people are not so active on their conscious spiritual journey anymore. It seems like they just lost their hope and interest. So please, can you make it clear for me what happened in hearts and minds of these people?
Yeah, most of the people on planet Earth are physically oriented. That means the emotions don't matter as much as the physical experiences. So how I feel doesn't matter as much as what happens, right? And so the physical world has become a major distraction. So let's lay that down for a minute, and I'll explain to you about, let's say you're going to go take ayahuasca or one of these spiritual drugs, right? The reason that people get so addicted to those and can't come back to a state where their spirituality is anything other than those drugs and medicines is because the experience they provide is so intense. So let's say you're walking about your day-to-day life here and you have like a revelation. Oh my gosh, I just figured something out, right? Emotionally, that feels like a big experience. But if you are going to go take these spiritual drugs like ayahuasca and that blows you out into the reality of the universe, that experience would be so extreme that you having a revelation would seem like not so much of an awesome experience in comparison. So what we have here is a lot of people on planet Earth who physical reality is like their drug.
Yes.
They've become addicted to the intensity of the physical experience, and so what they want is like explosions and crashing stuff and nights of darkness and very visible, tangible things, because they're not in tune with the more subtle world, which is the internal world, the emotional world, and the dimensions outside the physical dimension, which are reflected through the emotions. And so the major shift that was occurring in 2012 was a shift in consciousness. It was a shift in the emotional level of human beings, if you want to know the honest truth. Because when our frequency increases, our emotions are the reflection of that increase. And because people are not attuned to the subtleties, they are, even though there was a change, they were not in touch with their emotions, in touch with their feelings, in touch with their spirituality enough to notice. They were still out, like, looking outside for something extreme to collapse or extreme to come down or for aliens to reveal themselves. And when that extreme external thing didn't happen, they basically assumed that it was all crap. But it's just that they were looking in the wrong place.
maybe the cause of the expectations of people is in the hoax around 2012, because when I've been in Yucatan last year, Peninsula, Mayan rice, I discovered that whole boom around 2012 was hoax from writer John Mayer Jenkins, who has written some book in 1996, I think, and it was some kind of his point of view to the Mayan prophecy, but the American media, Hollywood, and the other media caught this idea and transformed to the big media hoax. I think this is the main cause of the expectations doesn't fulfill in the people.
You'll notice that media always runs with fire. You know, it's like whatever they can attach to that will cause extreme reactions within people, they're going to put out there. So, and we live in a day and age where a lot of bad information can be shared very quickly. But I experienced a major shift in humanity in 2012. But it was like the apex is what I was trying to explain. It's not like everything happens in one day. It's like there's a build-up, and then you watch the change slowly rattle throughout the next 50 years. So we're looking at a much larger timeline than just one day or 1 year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, if we have a culture full of humans that are addicted to intense experiences, then a hoax would be quite appealing.
I understand. Yeah, I agree. Okay. So what about politics? What's your relationship to the politics, and are you attending the elections, or you ignore it?
I'm kind of an interesting person that way, because on one hand, I really like having my fingers in the pie of politics because of the amount of influence and effect they're able to have over humanity. But on the other side of that coin, our politics are so corrupt right now that it's really kind of like a chokehold. So the way that I like to describe it is that we've got, and it's worldwide. It's not just one country or another country. Worldwide, our governments are all owned by companies. They are owned by corporations. So it's the big companies that are making the money, that are making the laws now. And so our government is not run by people anymore. It's run by whatever benefits financial institutions. That's a majorly dangerous world that we've got going, especially for the individual citizen. But the issue with these big companies that have that kind of money is you are not going to be able to fight those companies unless you play their game, or unless the whole thing falls down and something new comes in its place. So right now what I'm watching is two diverging potentials. And so I'm basically fine with either. Either it falls of its own weight because these companies are not making decisions that are in favor of mankind, right? And when that happens, they don't realize that the legs they stand on is people. So if the people die because of their policies, or if some other thing happens to make that sort of fall out from underneath them, it will fall of its own weight. And then there will have to be a whole new uprising of a brand new human society. All of that will have to be completely rebuilt, but in a brand new way. That's totally awesome, right? But here's the other potential. The other potential is we get enough people who are wanting to make enough money through things that are positive that they're able to compete with these enormous companies. So I'm looking at either one of those, and obviously you could call me political because of the fact that even the company that I started, which is designed to compete with them. So basically, I'll tell you how it goes in the United States. I don't know how it is in the Czech Republic, but in the United States you can do a thing called lobby. So if you have a company, like let's say you have a drug company that's producing vaccinations, and you know that next year they're going to pass a bill about whether to make vaccines mandatory or optional. If they make it mandatory, you make billions more dollars. So what you do is you go find a senator, somebody that's a government official, and you pay them to sign their name yes to approve that bill next year. So the senator is no longer thinking about whether it's right or not right to pass a mandatory vaccine law. They're thinking about the money they just got paid. And this has been going on for so long that it's very difficult to stop, because the politicians like the money and the companies like the fact that the politicians like the money. So basically, my goal with my company that I started, I'm going to have to be political because of it, is to basically get to the point where we have so much money that we're able to do the same damn thing.
So how important is the politics in our lives?
I think politics is super important. But at the same time, if people really believed in their own innate power to withdraw from it completely and to begin something completely different, the governments would have no power. We're the ones that feed them with that power. We just have missed that. And trust me, they want you to miss that. You know?
Yeah. Please, I got some problem with the recording. Do you have some backup of the recordings, or you don't record this one?
Let me see. I think it is recording. I think it's recording. Yeah.
Okay, because I got some problem with the software, Ever, Hangout software. It's a trial mode. You can record up to 5 minutes for each recording. So, do you have a backup of this one?
Yeah, I think I do.
Thank you. So I asked for Lado, to have this recording. Thank you. My next question is about free or zero energy. As we know, Nikola Tesla presented this concept to the American Congress in 1908, I think. And after 100 years, we're still driving cars with combustion engines. So, what is the future of humanity in this century with the using energy sources? What do you think?
I think that free energy is going to be suppressed as long as the oil companies have power. That's the issue. Like, if they're not paying off people with this type of technology, they're killing them. And so it's gonna continue this way until their resources really can't be fulfilled anymore, or until nobody's buying their products. Mm-hmm. And that's the issue. Like, they've set us up in a situation where we all need cars and we all need fuel to fuel those cars. And so, but until everybody goes on a strike, or until we have no more gasoline left, they're going to continue to try to suppress the technology that we have. But see, there we go again. Like, if we can get some people who are willing to really, this will be a good argument for your should spiritual people make money. If we can get some good people that want to build up that kind of money to compete with those people, then let's say, here we go, this is good, right? So let's say that some new person in Japan, like, who's really smart, invents a brand new car that runs on free energy, right? Now, all of the people who own these massive companies are going to be watching that person. Let's say he's struggling because he's in college, he's barely eating, right? He can afford noodles. So what's going to happen is somebody like ExxonMobil is going to basically come up to that guy and say, look, I'll pay you $5 billion for this design. What kind of a starving kid in college is going to say no? And what ExxonMobil is going to do is grab that technology and then stash it and never use it. It's going to go in a drawer because they're making money, right? So that's called suppression of technology. Now, here's the goal. The goal is to get enough good companies that we can match their offer. Mm-hmm. Only we're going to produce the damn car. You know?
Yeah. So when will it happen? When majority of humanity starts to use alternative concepts or principles?
I think we're trending in that direction. I got an issue with timelines because outside of this dimension, which is where we are when we're looking at timelines for Earth, those timelines don't exist because time does not move linearly. And so it's very rare that you'll meet somebody who can make accurate predictions about timelines. Like, how long is it going to take before all of humanity is like this? But I can tell you that it's trending in that direction. A lot of people are waking up. They're waking up to the idea that media is not benefiting them and that it's all structured to what is benefiting the companies for you to believe. And they're starting to wake up to the idea that we should probably save the world instead of destroy and exploit it. And I'm watching this, like, collective waking up. And what I really like is that now in the world there's this trend of of it being socially awesome for people to go green. Do you have the Go Green movement? It's basically people who are making choices like recycling and doing whatever they can to help the planet Earth. And you're watching this become like a socially beneficial way to act. So you're watching stars do it and everybody do it. And now that it's becoming a trend, I'm watching the humanity trend in a good direction for this. I think that it definitely will happen for sure.
And can you tell approximately some year when today's alternatives will switch to the mainstream?
I don't know. Think? I think a lot of those, I don't know an exact timeline, but I feel like the Earth itself is kind of we're wearing out our welcome here, if you catch my drift. So I feel like the Earth in and of itself, which is a big being, it's not like, we like to think of it as just an inanimate planet full of rock, but it is its own being with its own consciousness. And so it's sort of like, you could look at humanity a little bit like a bacterial infection. It's about to do what it needs to do to rid the Earth of people. And it's an interesting analogy I like to make. So right now you're watching the global warming stuff.
Yeah.
So we understand it's global climate change instead of global warming, but just for fun, when somebody, like a human, gets a bacterial infection, what happens with the body? It gets a fever, right? So you're watching the Earth right now react to what mankind is doing in the same way that a human body reacts to bacteria. It's going into a healing crisis. It's getting fevers. It's going into shakes. It's basically going to do whatever it needs to do to bring humanity back into balance with itself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. and that's happening quickly, you know. So.
That's right. Thank you for the answer. I got some sort of personal question to you.
Okay.
What are the sources of your wisdom? I mean your spiritual teachers and some inspirations.
Well, the sources of my information, I came in with a lot of it. The rest of it is life experience and going out of body. Obviously, when you're able to remove your consciousness from the physical dimension, you can talk to anybody you want to talk to. So.
And have you ever had some spiritual teachers in your life?
No. But no? I consider I say no, but it's like they wouldn't call themselves spiritual teachers. But the people who I've had in my life are your average everyday person. By virtue of examining their lives and looking at them, you can learn a great deal. Like even the person who owns a grocery store down the street is a spiritual teacher. They're just not aware of it yet. So... So there's a transition that happens the further you progress in spirituality. It begins where you have to find a spiritual teacher and then you commit to them and it's sort of like a guru type that you follow. But after a while you're ready for the totality of your life to be your lesson because you recognize that it is the mirror. So if I'm able to look at my reflection in every interaction that I have, that makes everything and everyone a spiritual teacher to me. But I would have to say that probably the best learning... like spiritual learning experience in my life was my childhood abuser. By far.
Got some book inspirations?
I'm really not an avid reader, interestingly enough. I don't know if I enjoy reading. I don't know. I can read really well, I just don't really do it, so. I do like some spiritual books, I've read a few. I think my favorite one that I've ever read is After the Ecstasy, the Laundry. It's by, now I'm not going to remember.
Right.
Is it Ron Dawes?
An American writer?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. I love it. I love it because, this is why I love it. I get a kick out of books that are less about information as they are about, like, bringing people down to the nitty-gritty of their lives and how to find happiness there, you know? Because have you noticed there are two types of spiritual people? There's the people that want all the information. I want to know what happened to Atlantis. I want to know what happened, whatever. And that's an information seeker. But that information seeking does not actually benefit them in their life right here. So I tend to prefer to share and also to study about the information about living from here. So it's not about what happened to Atlantis. It's about how do I right here and now forgive someone. That's the stuff I like better. But After the Ecstasy of the Laundry, which you'll like, is all about the fact that after enlightenment, it's not like it ends. You still continue, and the joke is, what happens before enlightenment? Chop wood, carry water. What happens after enlightenment? Chop wood, carry water.
Yeah, it seems that age of informations ends now, and it starts age of concepts.
Yes.
To use, learn to use, how to use the information into the concepts, into the practice daily life.
Yes.
My last album was called Alchemist.
Oh, goody.
Front cover of this.
Hey, do you know what that is?
Yeah. Nice.
Oh.
Flower of Life.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And this cover was symbolized, and this album was symbolized an awakening of a third eye, or sixth sense. And please, could you recommend us how can people activate and protect a pineal gland? And what is really dangerous for a pineal gland? I mean, food, like drugs, programs, and so on.
I think that the most dangerous thing for your pineal gland is eating low-density foods. I don't feel like people understand just how important diet is and healthy lifestyle is on their body. I mean, your body literally becomes whatever you put in it. That's images, that's sounds, that's, foods, it's all of it. So we have to be taking if we want to activate our pineal gland, that is, we need to be taking a much different approach towards life and what we're doing. We have to take the approach of, do I want to become this? Because ultimately that's what's happening. So before you go to watch a movie, do I want this to be part of me? Before you go to listen to a sound, do I want this to be a part of me? Before I put something in my mouth, a food, do I want this to be a part of me? There are very low density foods. Of course, most people who are in a low state of consciousness are a match to those foods. Anything processed is going to damage you. Your sugars are going to damage you. Almost nothing wreaks havoc on the pineal gland quite like meat and quite like flour. Those are the two ones that do the worst for the pineal gland. So meat has such a low vibrational density because of the death process. When something has a central nervous system like an animal does, and it is in a state of running for its life or death or survival, it floods the body with all of these stress chemicals, and so the vibration on that meat is terrible. It's absolutely terrible, and if you take it, your energy level will decrease. Your frequency decreases. Flour, white flour in and of itself, is bleached to the point of oblivion. It's an actual poison. Not only that, it's a flammable poison. So that is terrible, and it corrodes the rest of your body as well, throws your blood sugar out of whack because your body can't tell the difference between flour and sugar. It's treated just the same because it's metabolized as quickly. So we have to be trending much more towards what we would naturally be eating in a gathering type society. See, if you think about, I want you to think about people if they're meandering around in a naturally lush environment. They aren't going to hunt things because that's a risk to their bodily system. Like we are not equipped with claws. We are not equipped with like super sharp teeth where we could rip into a hide. And so we would only be hunting if it was a necessary thing for survival. That's the only time that it's worth risking your life to eat, is when you have to, right? So we would be the kind of people naturally who would be foraging around for things that we found. Nuts, mushrooms, we'd find vegetables, tubers that were under the ground. Those types of things are the most natural for us to be eating. So we need to trend towards whole grains, fruits, vegetables, obviously. Nuts, which is one of the best for people. And then like fresh sources of waters. Like juices aren't even natural for us. I mean, to juice something is really good because it gets you a hit, like especially greens. That's a good one for your pineal gland, by the way. If you really want to hit your pineal gland, what you do is you juice greens, especially kale and chard. But
and also not fluoride toothpaste.
Yes. So what you do is you juice those things and you take a hit of that, and that's an intense amount of nutrients. But even juices wouldn't be natural to us, because it's like if you think about eating an orange, if you're eating orange juice, you're basically eating 4 oranges, and that's how much you're spiking your blood sugar, as opposed to eating a whole orange where you get only that limited amount of sugar. So our whole food process is set up to destroy our bodies essentially right now. And that's really crucial if we're going to increase our frequency.
So it's all about the conscious access to everything.
Yes.
To food, to sounds, every sense of the body.
Yes.
Okay. And what do you think about breatharians?
Oh, I love them. I feel that's where humanity is trending, in fact.
Is it real? Is it achievable for everyone in this dimension?
It is. Well, it's achievable for absolutely everybody, but for people to go from where they are to breatharianism would be such a huge gap. It'd be like asking them to jump the Grand Canyon. Even I myself am not ready for that step. So for us this is what's necessary. To achieve a breatharian lifestyle, you have to be able to have such control over your focus that you don't think a negative thought. So I want you to think of it like this. When I am thinking thoughts, I am either allowing or restricting the source flow through my body. If I'm in a state of complete allowance of the source flow through my body, I do not need to eat. I don't have to take my energy from anywhere else. But the minute you think a negative thought like, oh my gosh, I can't stand the fact that, fill in the blank, that causes you to close down, and so you're getting less energy, so you need to take it from somewhere. So in order to be fully breatharian, we have to have I don't want to say control, we have to basically have deliberate focus mastered first. That's why the people who are successful at it are mind masters. But we are trending in that direction. The human race is going that way. We will be a race that does not take its energy from anything or anyone. We will literally draw it in from the cosmos, from our own source stream.
One special practice can activate the pineal gland. I think it's sun gazing. Does it help to us?
I have met many people who say so. I haven't tried it myself.
And in which principles does it work?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I'm gonna have to probably see. That's one of the things I'm gonna probably have to look into, because I haven't like spent much time with that. I think there are things that people can do that are like a physical doorway to getting into spirituality, and because I've gotten lazy, because I can sort of remove my consciousness so quickly, there isn't really a need to do it. So I think that's one of the things I would have to look into instead of organically have tried yet. I don't know enough to tell people what the benefit would be. But I could study that, and I could tell you probably.
Okay. Thank you. We have 10 minutes to the end. So the last easy and funny question will be, what is the purpose of life?
The purpose of life is expansion. But expansion is only realized through you lining up with your joy. So you could say that the purpose of life is happiness. They're one and the same. Mm-hmm. That's like, there you go. In 10 seconds, that's the whole answer. Yeah. Well, okay, so I'll explain that further. That's your 2-sentence explanation as to the purpose of life. But if we go in depth, you have source consciousness, right? Which is what we call God or whatever. People use a million different names for that. And all that is the consciousness of all that is. So you could think of your perspective and my perspective and the perspective of the plant behind you and everything. If we combined all of those perspectives, that one perspective would be God, would be source energy. It is the united consciousness. And it has no borders. Of course, the physical mind can't understand that. But we're going to use the language anyway. It is eternal, right? And this source consciousness wants to know itself. It's in a state of self-discovery. But it can only know what it is if it knows what it isn't. And so what it does is it projects itself down into a contrasting environment. That's what Earth is. I know what I want, I know what I don't want. I experience not being loved, so I want love, right? And the contrast of what is unwanted and what is wanted allows beings to broadcast forth desire. And desire tells this universe, tells source what it is. So if you experience this negative environment and you say, oh, I want love, the universe goes, I am love. It knows what it is based on desire. And you can't have new desires until you achieve your previous ones. So think of it like this, like a stepladder. Oh, I'm going through this negative relationship, so I want harmony in a relationship. The universe goes, oh, okay, I'm harmony. Right? But unless you close the gap too and you get that harmony, you're going to still want harmony and never want anything else. So the expansion of the universe, which is facilitated through desire, never happens unless you achieve your desires. And you achieve your desires by going in the direction of happiness. So if you made your life about happiness, you would be fulfilling the purpose of life, which is expansion.
I understand. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Nice to see you.
Love
Have
you.
a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.